Hi y'all, this is Ken Lusk with MyStarReport.com with a special report here. In my last video I mentioned a little bit about the astrology regarding Joran Van der Sloot and the unfortunate evening where it seems, anyway, it appears by all means that he murdered Stephanie Flores in Peru. And I got a big response from that video, especially with regard to mentioning a little bit about the astrology for that night, a little bit about the astrology for Stephanie Flores and Joran Van der Sloot. And I got quite a few emails asking me to talk about Joran Van der Sloot's astrology and more specifically his astropsychology, since quite a number of you know that astropsychology actually is a big part of my forte and is what I base most of my readings on, astropsychology. And what I've done with this special edition is I've also posted not just the script so you guys can follow along with this, because astropsychology can get kind of complicated, but I also have posted at my website the chart that I constructed that I used for this reading on Joran Van der Sloot, so you get a visual idea on the kind of chart that I use when I do astropsychology. My charts include the chart placement, the natal placement of the dragon, the natal dragon, the head and tail position, and things like that. I also include, of course, an in-depth analysis of Chiron, the planetoid Chiron, and then the placement, the important placement of Pluto in the natal chart. So you guys can download that for free at my homepage. If you don't see it there right now, just give it a few hours, because sometimes changes like that on the site take a few hours to propagate across the World Wide Web, especially if you're overseas. I have a few friends in like England, Canada, Philippines, New Zealand, South Africa, places like that. So anyway, give it some time, it'll show up, don't worry about it. So with regard to Joran Van der Sloot and his astropsychology, he's, there's a lot of really scary stuff here, and I know the story, of course, is scary, and you're going, yeah, duh, Ken, this guy's pretty messed up in the head, but it's interesting to know why. Now, this isn't just going to be one 10-minute video. This is going to be at least two, if not three 10-minute videos. So you'll see this series posted on YouTube and my site, www.mystarreport.com, posted in like a series, okay? So, according to Internet resources, Van der Sloot was born on August 16, 1987. There's no actual time of birth available, so I'm using 12 a.m. as a time. And he was born in Arnhem in the Netherlands. The first house for Van der Sloot, of course, since he was born in August, is Leo. And he's got Venus there at 8 degrees and the Sun at 12 degrees, Mars at 19 degrees there. So right away, of course, we recognize that there's a lot of ego there. Leo itself is ruled by the Sun. Sun rules ego. And we have Mars here also, and Mars carries with it a lot of ego energy. With Venus in the same house, we can definitely determine that this person is attractive, self-confident, and when we add that he is a Taurus rising, we can definitely say that people are attracted to him. And when he wants to do something, he doesn't wait for it. He just jumps up and does it. This, of course, is the Mars energy, and since it's amplified by the sun's presence here, we can definitely say this guy does as he pleases without asking. I say does as he pleases because of the presence of Venus here. Venus is the planet that rules desire, comforts, those things that we find enjoyable, pleasurable, what we value materially. Sometimes these are things that we may guard or hoard. And so actually these things are quite normal. There's nothing abnormal about that. And I'm not going to go into deep to that there because that's just basic astrology. But I want to highlight the things that are most relative to May 30 and what happened there in Peru. Moving on to the third house, I find an interesting dragon's tail there. And I say interesting first because the third house, of course, is the thought process. It's the mind. It's how we think and how we communicate. And the dragon's tail here in the third house of how we think is sometimes a very negative energy. People say all the time that the dragon's tail is negative, but that's not true. It's not true in any way, shape, or form. The dragon's tail has the opportunity to be very, very positive, just as much as it has an opportunity to be negative and sting us or give us an opportunity to sabotage ourselves. But anyway, the dragon's tail there in the third house of how we think is sometimes a very negative energy. Van der Sloot is a Libra there in the third house, so with the tail of the dragon here, we can say that Van der Sloot came into this life karmically and from past life experience with a natural understanding of the legal system. Libra represents and rules the legal system and legal systems and systems of how things work in society and in relationships. In other words, he's able to easily understand and interpret law if he applies himself and studies it. I think he's already exhibited that. This would have been an easy class, for instance, for him in school, where others in the class might have struggled with the subject of law, business law, international law, things like that. Van der Sloot would have just simply breezed through it. Having the tail of the dragon here also makes it easy for him to be stung by the legal system if he allows it or if he stumbles. So it does work both ways. He may easily understand systems and legal processes to his advantage because of the tail here, but the tail here also gives him the opportunity to sabotage himself by being lazy. Or by being too outspoken, which he has done here. Being in the third house of communications, it's best for him, of course, to keep his mouth shut when he's in trouble with the legal system. This worked for him, of course, in the Natalie Holloway case in Aruba, and it worked very well there. In the end, there was nowhere for anyone to take that case because he kept his mouth shut. He wouldn't communicate any truth to anyone, leaving the legal system nowhere to go with that case. In Peru, he opened his mouth, he confessed, he stung himself, he sabotaged himself. The tail of the dragon there. Okay, I'm going to stop here. We're approaching 10 minutes. I'm going to move on to the second part of this video.